Let's move on now, bring you some other world news on the programme. And Presidents Vladimir Putin and Joe Biden are to speak by phone in the coming hours today to discuss rising tensions over Ukraine. Tens of thousands of Russian troops are massing at its border with Ukraine, and Washington fears that Putin may be planning to invade. To discuss, our foreign affairs editor Armen Georgian is on the line for us now. And Armen, this will be the leaders' second phone call this month. What are the chances, do you think, of some progress being made today?
Well, clearly the talks are not at a dead end, and both sides see talking as preferable to not talking. But it's also very hard to see a compromise, Nadia, because the basic Russian demand is this security guarantee that Ukraine will never be able to join NATO. That goes directly against NATO's repeated promises to Ukraine since 2008. So Biden is in no position to fulfill that security guarantee that Russia is asking for. I suppose from the US perspective, there might be a little bit of room for maneuver on the question of US military assistance to Ukraine. It's conceivable that President Biden will say something like, well, we won't deploy an additional aid package to Ukraine if you, Putin, back off. But Putin could very easily say to that, well, you've already provided all kinds of security assistance to Ukraine since 2014. So all in all, it's very hard to see a landing space for an agreement between the two leaders.
And Armen, what more do we know about these in-person Russian-American talks? They're due to take place next month in Geneva. What can you tell us?
Well, talks have been confirmed between US and Russian officials in Geneva for January the 10th. There's actually a whole spate of diplomatic events. So there's the bilateral US-Russia meeting on January the 10th. On January the 12th, there is then a NATO-Russia meeting. And a day later, on the 13th, OSCE Russia meeting. That's the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. So there's a whole flurry of diplomatic activity early next year, but it's perhaps worth underlining that there is no face-to-face meeting planned between Biden and Putin. We're not expecting a repeat of their summit in Geneva in June of this year, and it looks very much as though the two leaders don't want a high-profile event with massive media attention and then later to have to say, well, actually, we didn't achieve very much in that high-profile meeting. So I think the two sides are very much managing expectations, even as they ramp up this diplomatic activity. And rather than have the two leaders meet face-to-face, they would prefer to handle these contacts in other formats and for example, NATO or the OSCE and their own defense and military officials as well.
Armen Georgian, for now, thank you very much.